Hey everybody, this is Grace. In this video, I'm going to talk about when people complain when something goes wrong, when something bad, opposite than what they want to happen, happens. And it's when they're not following the rules, okay? Now, I wrote myself these notes, pardon the noise here, back in, let's see, about 3 weeks ago, and I'm not sure some of what I was meaning, but I have seen this lately. Like, somebody does something, like they know that they have rules. It could be anywhere. Rules within the family, and we're talking adults here, within the family, within their own home. Other people live there. It could be work. It could be online. They have, whatever they're using has rules and, regulations, these kinds of things, and they need to follow them. Now, I've known this type for probably all my life. When they're told, they have certain rules and all this, they don't believe that these rules apply to them. They're just like, yeah, right, And the people that say, well, no, I'm going to do that, they call them things like suckers, losers, all kinds of names. They will call them names. The people who are going to think, they do think that the rules don't apply to them, they will call the other person names, or the people who do abide by the rules. And we have rules in pretty much everything. Driving. I've known people who have said that speed limits are just suggestions. They don't believe that those are rules. They're just suggestions. And they don't, there's like people who speed, take, risk takers, all this. So, now, and they believe that people who follow rules, they'll complain, the people who don't believe the rules apply to them, they may complain about the rules, but not everybody does. Not everybody. None of this is one size fits all. It's not 100% across the board, any of this. But not everybody, not all people complain about rules. Some people know that if without rules, could be total chaos. There's total chaos. Can you imagine if there were no rules on the roads? There are some countries that don't have them. Last I heard, they don't have, any speed limits, or you drive on this side and the others, if you're going that direction, or you're going, and other people drive on the other side when they're going the opposite direction. They don't have these kinds of things. Total chaos. Did in the past. Maybe they do. Maybe most of them do now. Or, on a job. Can you imagine working a job? And, okay, speaking of, I sit out here in my SUV and make videos, probably, maybe every day, almost, except if it's really cold or really hot, whatever is the situation. And this is the second time in the past few days I've seen this happen. Now, real life happens in the middle of a video. In my rearview mirror, if something moves in my rearview mirror, if somebody's, what's going on, I'll look up at it. Okay, it's just habit, Been driving for many, many years. It's habit. If something moves, you're not expecting it. And the second time I have seen this, one man, I don't know him. I do not know if he's part of this neighborhood or what, but he walks down the road. The first time I only saw him go one direction, and then this time he was going in the other direction. But he's carrying a bottle, like, how you've probably seen messages in a bottle, like people throw them in the oceans and they come back, the ocean, and it comes back. And that's exactly what it looks like. And that's all he's carrying. He's walking down the sidewalk. That is strange. It's really weird. Why is he carrying a bottle? It looks like a message in a bottle. I have no earthly idea why anybody would do anything like that. And like I said, second time I've seen him. What would be his purpose? He looks like a young man, probably maybe in his 30s. I don't know. I can't see that close because it's not that close. I mean, I can't see his, how young he is, but he looks young to me, in his 30s, maybe. Who knows? I don't see it that close. But I've had some weird things while I was sitting out here in my SUV, and I've seen weird things like when I first got my SUV. I bought it new in May of 2019. It only doesn't even have 5,000 miles on it. Seriously, it doesn't. May of 2019, and it doesn't have 5,000 miles. The one that I had before that I got this one because of, I celebrated its 400,000th mile. 400,000 miles on it. Yeah, so this is unusual. But anyway, when I first got this SUV, I was backing up, and it has the little, backup thing. Of course, the other one didn't, and the other one was old. But, I can see it on the, what do you call that, whatever. When I was backing up, and I saw a man, seriously, he was dressed totally in black, with a hoodie, sweatshirt, sweat. It was May, okay, May. And it dressed totally in black with the hoodie on, the hoodie on, and, sweats. It looked like he was coming from the side of my house. Well, there's a gate there. He wasn't getting through that, but he may have been in that corner. And he ran behind my, I could see him come from that side, and he ran behind my, my SUV as I was backing up. It was freaky. He wasn't in the road. He had come from the direction of my yard. Okay. Weird things happen, but it could be that same guy. You never know with people these days. But, there are social rules like that. You don't go into somebody's yard. That's not your yard. You don't run behind them when they're backing up and coming from their yard. And what is this with the bottle? I really want to know, and I could have backed up and, driven and just see if he goes into one of these houses or something. He lives here. I should have done that. That's freaky. Anyway, back to the story. Back to, real life's going to happen in the middle of the video. So there's some people who they just don't abide by any rules. They think, anybody who does are suckers or losers or, whatever name they're going to come up with. They're going, nothing is going to be wrong about them. They are perfect, and, everybody should follow their lead. It makes me think of the type that says, they do tend to say everybody and always or never and everybody and nobody and common sense. That's the biggest thing. Common sense isn't always, what you think it is. Some people think that because they think of it as common sense and therefore everybody should follow. This kind of thing. And anyway, they're the all or nothing type. And so they believe that everybody should follow them. Because they really do know they're superior. They have the superior knowledge and wisdom and all that. And they believe that they're perfect. Nobody's perfect. But they believe that they are. So everybody should listen to them. And they're the type that, like I was saying, that they believe in things like everybody cheats on their resume. They lie on their resume. Everybody cheats on their taxes. Everybody. Nobody follows every rule. Nobody follows that one. But yes, they do. This kind of thing. So let me see what else I've written on my notes. Hopefully nothing else weird happens. Now, all of us, like I said, nobody's perfect. So every once in a while, we might break a little, say, a social rule, or, we're in a hurry to get somewhere, we're in a place where there's no homes or hardly any cars. Maybe they drive fast. Somebody drives fast. I'm not one to drive fast at all. So I drive the speed limit. Seriously, I am one who drives the speed limit. Of course, I'm not perfect. I don't set my thing to say, you got to drive exactly this on roads. But I'm a person who drives the speed limit. Anyway, but nobody's perfect. Let's see. Anyway, I'm reading my notes again. So, the people who say, now, you know, like people get online and they'll say things that, well, you can do this and you can do that. Check the source. You know, go and find out for yourself, because these are kind of people who are going to say, you know, they don't believe rules apply. Say, oh, you can do that. You know, nobody ever, and there's that nobody. Nobody ever looks to see. Nobody, everybody does whatever they want, and nobody is there to check them. Check the source, okay? Both ways. Check it out, make sure that they're not lying, and check the person who's telling all this. What are their usual behaviors? They don't abide by any rules, perhaps, okay? And now I don't know why I wrote on here nurse practitioner. Have no idea. Well, I do had a nurse practitioner one time. That does not mean all of them do this. Some people that think that way, they will think, oh, she mentioned this about nurse practitioner, then all of them do that. No. Okay. But I do remember one who just broke every rule. You know, you don't say certain things to a patient when what you're telling them could harm them. I had one that said something to me. Luckily, I'm smart enough and I'm not gullible enough to believe her. It wasn't, because what she said could have done serious harm. And it was all because she was angry at, there was a training, a nurse in there in training, and I attended the same university as that. It was a young woman she mentioned, you know, they had introduced, and she mentioned where she was training. So I attended that university too. And that just really seemed to tick that woman off. You know, that nurse practitioner, seriously. It was like, from that moment, she was like huffing, you know. So, anyway. So, I guess that may have been why I wrote it down. I don't know. But, now, all these types say they do whatever they want. They, you know, they don't believe in following rules. You know, anybody else is a sucker or loser or whatever. You know, they're just dumb. They're idiots. They're, you know, they. Okay. What about when something bad happens? What about whenever they do something like this and they are, like, they break a speed limit, they break speed limits or whatever, and they get a ticket. Or at work, they get a pink slip. I mentioned in another video before that I worked for a place, and I remember they actually gave pink slips. They were pink. Maybe that's a norm. I don't know. I've never received one, as far as I remember. Never received anything like that. I was always that good person, you know, the one who did her job and all that. But, you know, say these, let's go back to the story, you know, people who are, you know, they wind up getting in trouble because of their behavior. They're adults. These are all adults. And they have to pay the consequences. Now we all have heard of cancel culture, but I don't know who first coined that. And there's another one now called consequences culture. I don't know who coined that one either. I'm not trying to steal anybody's idea. But it is that you do, instead of saying cancel culture, but if you do something wrong, you're going to have to pay the consequences. These are people that I'm talking about, this type. They don't believe in paying any consequences. They don't think that there should be any consequences. And the way they see it, to them, they see it as, they didn't give permission for you to do that. You know, really. That they should not have any consequences. That's just losers and suckers and on and on and on. You know, control freaks, and, you know, like a boss says, you have to be there on time, and they get there whenever they feel like it. They get, written up. They get ticked off because they shouldn't have to do that to them. You see? Okay. So, I think many people can relate to that about work. And somebody, they just do whatever they want. They're told that you can only take, 30-minute lunches, and they take longer. And you can only take 2 breaks, 10, 15-minute breaks, whatever it is, and they take longer. And they just break the rules because they don't believe rules should, they're the type who will say, we're all adults here. So why should we have to abide by rules? We're not in school, kids in school. This kind of mentality, okay, and they get written up. There's no principal they're going to be sent to, but it could be find themselves in the unemployment office. They keep it up, you know. So then they start to complain. And there's also people you can see online, like whatever online social media platforms. I have never known one, I've never known any to ever not have rules. You know, their terms and services and their whatever kinds of rules, all kinds of rules. I don't even know what they call them. Community rules, community guidelines, community, you know, whatever. They have rules. And there are people who break them on a regular basis. And next thing you know, they get basically written up. Okay, they get a warning. Or sometimes, and some of them, they'll just, that's it. I mean, you broke that rule. Depending on what rule it is, it could be a bad one. You're out. You know, you're no longer on their platform. Some don't take very long to get around to it. Okay. In real life, it's happening again. But not the man with the bottle, but just somebody drove by. Anyway, it was for delivery. I was wondering if it was for me. Anyway. So then what happens? They complain. They complain about you know, they get a pink slip or written up or an email or whatever, or they get kicked off, and they complain. Well, they were warned. You'll say it was their strike 3, and they were warned twice, but before that, they knew they were sent the rules and the regulation. They were told exactly what they did wrong, but they keep doing it. Okay, and they do believe they are justified for complaining, for saying that it was all wrong. They're going to take them to court. They're going to, you know, all this, when the proof was right there. You know, there may be people who got that speeding ticket, went and they're going to fight that speeding ticket because that's just wrong. And, you know, they go there and the judge says, you're going to pay this ticket or else. You know? And they just keep complaining. Oh, that's just crazy. I was not going that much faster. I was only going, you know, whatever. They'll just go on and on. They will never admit that they're wrong. They will never admit that speed limits, go faster, you get a ticket, depending on where you live, really. But overall, no, you drive the speed limit. You know, and I'm not talking about outside the USA. If somebody lives there, I don't know what it is over there. I don't know every place here. But pretty much, yeah, you get a ticket. If you're caught, you pay it. And nowadays, like if you run a red light, many of these places have those cameras. So some people still going to fight it. I mean, there was a situation where I fought mine because I had sold that car. That it was a minivan, and the person got a speeding ticket, and they sent it. It was sent to me because the person hadn't changed it yet, changed it over, the title. So I think Adam had sold it, but shoot, I'd be right there with him saying, "You changing it right now?" You know, my dad had something like that happen when I was young, and the person got in a wreck, and they tried to sue him, and he said that what he told him was, "You go right ahead, but I'm gonna you're going to be in prison for stealing my car." Oh. Then they called it. They weren't very smart. If they were in his car and had a wreck, they must have stolen his car. So it was pretty much made that simple. Seriously, you know, they could have claimed, "Oh, he let me borrow it." No, he would just deny it. "No, you stole my car." You know. So anyway, you see what I'm saying. But these are the kind of people that don't believe that rules apply to them, and when they break those rules, they will try to make somebody else pay, or they were going to take them to court, or they're going to fight them. They're going to win, and then they lose, and then they complain more. The injustice that they had to drive the speed limit. How horrible that they have to pay their own ticket. You know, pay for their own. They would have to register a car. You know, these kinds of things. But there are people out there And then like people who get online and do against whatever it is the social media platform says you cannot do, they think that doing it is their way of fighting it and that they will eventually win. No, I've never known it to happen. You know, once they're caught, yeah, if they don't shape up, they're shipping out. See what I'm saying? Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up, and I'll talk to you on another video. Bye.